As like a movie buff, someone who watches a lot of movies and TV shows, I feel like it's just been so much thrown at us through streaming services that I've truly gotten sick of watching a lot of things. I figured just why not start with a classic to begin with, and that is JRR Tolkien's The Hobbit. I think this is a great starting point, honestly. I mean, for it being a children's book, I still think the prose is pretty advanced for being a children's book. Just hearing about J.R.R. Tolkien and his life and just his writings and stuff like that, I went on a big splurge and bought a bunch of Tolkien books. Like I have The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, The Silmarillion, Unfinished Tales, a bunch of his stuff. And so I kind of have that to look forward to, but I might have to break that up a little bit. I don't want to read just straight through a bunch of Tolkien stuff, I kind of want to do stuff in between, but at least starting with The Hobbit, this was the very first time I read through The Hobbit. I bought this used. Funny thing is, randomly in the middle of reading it, a bunch of pages fell out. Like just right there. I mean, they've been in like little chunks, so I've kind of had to keep them together in the book. I could just try to fix that and glue them back, but I'm not going to try that. I really enjoyed The Hobbit. I mean, I had the movies on Blu-ray, but I've only actually watched Unexpected Journey and part of Desolation of Smaug. And I wasn't crazy about these movies to begin with, so I was a bit hesitant about opening the book. Way better, and it's just so different compared to the movies. It's kind of the best thing of like kind of going into the book. I was kind of expecting like a Lord of the Rings type feel in book form, but it really isn't. It's very episodic. I like how lighthearted a lot of this book is. It's just fun. I feel like this is a book with its chapters because of its episodic feel that you could read a few chapters, put it down for like a week or two, and then pick it back up, and then you feel like you didn't lose track of where you were or what was happening. It had that feel. It was really nice. Comparing it to the movie was just a bunch of action scenes I felt were extremely unnecessary, and this was very much not that. Some people have said the Lord of the Rings books are kind of that way, where it's like not a whole lot of action. Smaug the dragon, like how quickly he's like taken care of. Some people would say it's anticlimactic, comparing it to like how the films were made. I liked it though. I liked it in this aspect. Most people probably know what The Hobbit's about, but it's about Bilbo Baggins and living in the Shire, and then Gandalf stumbles upon him and he looks for someone to engage with him in an adventure. And they go to find a treasure that is being guarded by Smaug the dragon here. Sorry, my guinea pig is making noise in the background. Probably getting water or something. Really fun. I love Bilbo Baggins as a character. I think he's pretty relatable, especially like he just feels like he has this like introverted nature about him, and just kind of like the everyday person who's not courageous kind of going and doing something courageous. But what I like about the book is like Bilbo still is like not cowardly, but he's still scared of all this stuff happening, and he kind of just like watches a lot of stuff. It's like he's just so relatable in that way. Like he's not just the typical like just jumping in and just trying to like do the daring heroic thing. He does a lot of it, but it's in a way more realistic way. It's funny for this being like very fairy tale-ish. Bilbo as a character is down to earth as like a person. Gandalf, you have Thorin Oakenshield, you have some pretty great characters in here. I've really had a lot of fun reading this. I feel like I'm kind of the type of person that like when someone's like, oh, this is classic, and then I watch it or read it, I feel like I'm going to be like, oh, that was overhyped. But with this, I completely understand why people really love this book. I am very much a horror guy at nature, so when reading like fantasy, I might be a little bit hesitant on that, but The Hobbit is pretty straightforward, and sometimes to me, I feel like some of the best stories can just be a very straightforward thing. And I know that there's a lot of fantasy books out there that it's like all about world building and all this crazy stuff. It's like a deep dive, and it's like there's nothing wrong with that. But to me, when it comes to like fantasy, it's like I just want to follow like, just a pretty normal story in a fantasy setting. I don't want to get into the nitty gritty of like all this world building and such. And I know like Tolkien has done that. I still feel like his stuff is pretty easy to follow. As far as The Hobbit goes, like this is very much like a standalone story. I mean, while this does tie into Lord of the Rings, it is like you could just read this and stop and be like, that was a good story. It might be a little while before I get into Lord of the Rings. I mean, that's, a juggernaut of a book. I really enjoyed The Hobbit, and I'm looking forward to more from Tolkien. These movies, in a way, I don't think they're like really that bad. I mean, honestly, Martin Freeman as Bilbo Baggins is the best thing about the Hobbit movies. And of course, Ian McKellen as Gandalf. But yeah, they just stretched so much out. It was stretched so thin. And like, as I was reading through The Hobbit, I was just like, how did they make 3 movies out of like a 300-page book? It's such a simple tale. Like, why did you have to overcomplicate it? Yeah, like even the Battle of the Five Armies, it's a pretty anticlimactic thing in the book, because it's just like Bilbo just gets knocked on the head by a boulder and passes out and then wakes up and basically the battle's over. I haven't seen Battle of the Five Armies, but I'm sure that does not happen. I'm sure that the entire thing is like this big badass heroic thing happening. Yeah, I mean, I just wasn't interested in it. Like, once I hit Unexpected Journey, I was like, this isn't that good. I remember starting to watch this a number of times, and I would always lose interest right around once they finished with like the troll part of the story. Once they like escaped the trolls, pretty much zoned out from the movie. So this was a lot of fun though. Yeah, people like talk Tolkien a lot, and I can understand people getting sick of him and such, but it's like this guy really was like kind of the creator of like kind of not the fantasy genre as a whole, but like he definitely dipped his toes in a pretty good amount on the fantasy genre as we see today. This was a good first book back into my reading journey. Next, I am working on My Best Friend's Exorcism, enjoying that. I did watch the movie of that pretty recently, but my wife got me My Best Friend's Exorcism as a gift, so I want to get through that. Movie was kind of meh. I'm enjoying the book so far, so hopefully have a review for that coming pretty soon. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed my video and my little review on The Hobbit, and let me know what you think of The Hobbit. I mean, whether comparing it to the movie or just the novel itself. Yeah, I found it to be extremely charming, really fun, and I'm excited to see, get into more Tolkien. But as far as just something light and easy, Hobbit's a great start. I definitely enjoyed myself reading, and this is one I'd actually love to go back to and read sometime down the road. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you in a future video.